Good morning everyone, a very happy new year, and I hope you guys celebrated it really well, and responsible celebrations were there. Today we are going to cover a lot of sections, and before starting I would also like to draw your attention towards our the question of the day, which we will be picking up in the doubt session, is how to plan, how to formulate the plan for your preparation, and I will be dealing with plan formulations in the beginning of your preparation, then in the midst of your preparation, and in the advanced stages of your preparation, and we will be discussing in a bit of detail about plan formulation, its importance. Okay. So that is going to be the question which we are going to pick up today. So here is the index. It goes. The first is basically Amrit Bharat station scheme, in which we are revamping the existing stations, we are revamping the facilities in the existing stations, and we will see that what kind of facilities are being revamped. Then Vande Bharat Express in West Bengal. Although this news piece is basically with respect to a particular state and with respect to a particular train, but yes, the overall picture which we will be assessing the development in the eastern region of India. Okay. So we will, I have included that this news piece because of that, because there is some mismatch in development in the western part of India and development in the eastern part of India. Development in the western part of India is very, I would say, is better as compared to the development in the eastern part of India. That is why this has been covered. Then we will be discussing about European Union, because Croatia, a country which became a member of European Union in 2013, has now adopted euro as its currency and has now become the part of the Schengen visa, I would say, policy as well. So we will be discussing what is Schengen, what is euro, what is eurozone, what has been the genesis of European Union, how it got formed. All these things we will be discussing. Then we will also come to the next piece, that is Bhima Koregaon. There is this history attached with this incident that happened in Bhima Koregaon. It is basically a small village in the Pune district, and around I would say 2018, that is 5 years ago, there was some violence also, the community violence or communal violence in that region. Why the communal violence was there? What is the sensitivity attached to this Bhima Koregaon? What is the history of this Bhima Koregaon? We will all discuss in this topic. Then this phenomenon of polar vortex, because USA is basically grappled under extreme, I would say, cold waves, and there are blizzards, then these are some atmospheric phenomena which happen due to the extreme cold. Now this happens due to this phenomenon called as polar vortex. So we will be discussing in detail about the polar vortex. What is this phenomenon? Does global warming has any implication on polar vortex or not? All these things will be covered here. Then we will also be talking about the Prajwala challenge, which has basically been rolled out, and National Rural Livelihood Mission is the focal point here, which we will be discussing here. It is for rural development, particularly rural development, the women staying in the rural areas. So we will be discussing that. Then Nilgiri tar is an I would say an animal in the western, found in the western Ghats in the Nilgiri hills of India. It has got it has been accorded with extra protection status. So we will be talking about that. Then sustainability of NFSA and PMGKAY merger. Now last week news I gave you this information that the National Food Security Act of the Government of India and the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, they have been merged together. Now that news was there in the last week, I would say, current affairs piece, but yes, now we have I have tried to include an assessment or an analysis that experts are saying that how this merger, is this merger good, is this merger bad, is this merger sustainable or unsustainable, because questions in mains, if it comes, it is going to come from this particular, I would say, view, this particular aspect of the merger. So, I have included that, but I have also included the details of the merger, how much we are saving, what are the basic schemes, Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, National Food Security Act, what are these two schemes, we will be discussing at length. This is going to be a very, I would say, the most time taking topic in today's lecture, but yes, it is going to be very much fruitful, and it is very much important. It is basically an analysis of the editorial which came. So, we will be discussing that. Then we have Nehru Memorial Museum and Library. The Prime Minister chaired a meeting over there. What is it? Nehru Museum Memorial Library. So, we will talk about it. Delimitation of constituencies, basically in Assam, constituencies has been a delimitation exercise is going on. So, what is delimitation? What are the provisions for delimitation, or the constitutional provisions for delimitations? We will look into that. Then Supreme Court on demonetization, this judgment came very recently, in which 4 judges said that demonetization was not illegal, it was legal, it was okay, whereas 1 judge said that it was not to happen, the government should not have done that. So, we will be discussing about that judgment also. This is also very important from, I would say, a polity point of view, economics point of view. Okay. Then we will be discussing this topic, which is, I would say, out of the box, but yes, UPSC, you never know, asks questions on sports, like it has started to ask questions from sports in prelims. In I think 2012 or I think 2013 mains, it again asked a question from cricket, in which they were asking about the DRS system, the decision review system and all. So, the point in news here is the yo-yo test and the DEXA scan. What are these tests? What are these, I would say, things? What is the yo-yo test? What is the DEXA scan? Obviously, cricketers in India, they have to go through these if they have to get selected into the national team. So, we will be discussing about this. Then Indian Science Conference happened, and every year it happens in the month of January. What is it? What were things discussed over there? The Prime Minister delivered a speech. What were the implications, or what were the important highlights of his speech? We will be discussing that. Then termites and global warming. It is basically a study in a scientific journal, in which it has been said that, as and when temperature increases, the termites will spread, and the spread of termites will further increase the temperature. How, why, we will discuss in this particular news piece. Then we will be discussing about microplastics, because a way has been designed, or a way has been found out to sieve out microplastics, to tackle microplastics. What are microplastics and all, we will be discussing over here. Then color coded warnings. Basically, Indian Meteorological Department has issued a color coded warning for Delhi NCR region because of the extreme cold wave here in the Delhi NCR region. So, we will be discussing about that warning which has been issued for Delhi NCR, and other color coded warnings which the IMD issues. What does these warnings imply or signify? We will be discussing that. Then finally, we have this bind scheme. Bind scheme is basically for the Prasar Bharati, that is Doordarshan and all. So, the last topic is going to be that, and that is also very important, because some of you might land up into the Indian Information Services, and if you land up, you will be dealing with these I would say government infrastructures or government institutions like Prasar Bharati. Okay. Now, all these topics we will be covering, and in the end we will be doing this I would say doubt session. So, 9 to 10:30 the first leg, 15 minutes break, we will be having the second leg, and after that doubt session will be there. And today's question in the doubt session, very important, that how to formulate a plan. I will be discussing the importance of formulation of a plan, what should an ideal plan look like in different stages of your preparation, like in the starting stage, in the when in the middle stage and in the advanced stages of your preparation. Okay. So, we will be discussing this after taking your doubts in the doubt session. Okay. So, let us start today's class. Now, the first piece of news basically is Amrit Bharat Station Scheme. Now, Ministry of Railways, station here means railway stations, has recently formulated a new policy for modernization of stations named Amrit Bharat Station Scheme. You might have seen various, I would say, news pieces on the social media that this station is going to be like this, that station is going to be like that. Recently in Gujarat, a world class station has been inaugurated. The New Delhi railway station is going to be revamped. So, all of this is being happening under this Amrit Bharat Station Scheme. Now, facilities planned under the scheme, first is provision of roof plaza to be created in future. Roof plaza means you will be having a shopping complex, a food court and all everywhere in the first floor or in the upper, I would say, floor. Then free Wi-Fi space for 5G mobile towers. Now, if you are going or if you are traveling by train and you are there on the station, then you will have access to free Wi-Fi, and that is going to be high speed Wi-Fi because 5G towers are going to be installed there on stations. Smooth access by widening of roads, removal of unwanted structures and properly designed signages, dedicated pedestrian pathways, well planned parking areas, improved lighting, etc. Basically, the look and feel of the station plus facilities to the passengers. Let us suppose if I have to go to the New Delhi railway station to pick up or to drop someone, then before the New Delhi railway station there is a lot of jam, traffic jam. So, widening of roads will be there, improved signages will be there that if I have to drop off I can go in this lane, if I have to go and park my car then I can go there. So, all these things will be there to ease the passengers or to ease the, I would say, people going to drop off or going to pick up the passengers coming by train. So, basically it is meant for easing. Now, the other day I visited Terminal 3 Indira Gandhi Airport, and there it has become very easy. If you are going to meet someone or if you are going to drop off someone, you can go, you can park your car, and till 25 minutes car parking is free. If you enter after 25 minutes, then you will be charged, and everything is automated. You enter your FASTag on the car, it will read the time that at this time you have entered. The FASTag on the car will read the time on which you are exiting, and accordingly if you have exited beyond 25 minutes, you will be charged. So, and where the car parking is, it is very easy from there to go to the airport terminals for departures or for arrivals, any terminal. Okay. So, it is comparatively very easy in an airport as compared to the railway stations, and according to this scheme, the ease has to be deployed in, the same kind of ease has to be deployed in railway stations also in India. That is the basic, I would say, aim. Then high level platforms, that is 760 to 840 mm high, so that if the platforms are high level, it would be easy for the passengers to board the train and deboard the train, and there will be less chances of accidents. Many videos these days are circulated on the social media platforms by various news channels also, that a passenger who was stuck between the train and the platform was saved by the RPF personnel or saved by co-passengers, something like these, they do the rounds. And these high level platforms will definitely contribute in reducing the accidents. Then special amenities for the disabled, ramps and wheelchairs, how they will deboard or board the trains, all the facilities will be there for the disabled. Then next is Vande Bharat Express, and the Vande Bharat Express was started in West Bengal, that is from Havra to New Jalpaiguri. Kolkata and Siliguri, Siliguri is in Assam, Kolkata, West Bengal, so connectivity will be there. Okay. But this Vande Bharat was the first Vande Bharat Express of Eastern India. All the Vande Bharat Expresses presently are running in northern or western India, or I think one or two in southern India also, but Eastern India, now has got its first Vande Bharat Express, and with this Vande Bharat Express there are now 7 Vande Bharat Express trains running in India. Okay. What are Vande Bharat Express trains? These are basically semi high speed trains. It is also known as train 18 and it is semi high speed intercity electric multiple unit operated by the Indian Railways, and its advanced version is much lighter and capable of reaching higher speeds in very less times. I would say 100 kilometers per hour in just 52 seconds it reaches, and the maximum velocity which can be clocked is 130 kilometers per hour, and that is why it is called as semi high speed. High speed to pहुंचेगा, it would be somewhere around 200, 180, 200 के आसपास or beyond that. ठीक है. So this is there. A total of 7 Vande Bharat trains are now operating presently. ठीक है. Now this news is important, this news is significant because the eastern part of India has got its first Vande Bharat Express, and this Vande Bharat Express is running between Kolkata and Siliguri. Siliguri means basically it is connecting eastern India with northeastern India. So that is why it is important, but we have more to see in this particular, I would say, section, and we will be discussing about this mission Purvodaya. Okay. Now mission Purv in Hindi basically is east. Purv Odaya, if I translate, Purv, development of the east. So there is this mission Purvodaya of Government of India. As I told you in the, I would say, introduction part, that there is this imbalance in development, there is this skewed development, mismatch, or not mismatch, but yes, imbalance in development. The western part of India is more developed as compared to the eastern part of India. There are a few reasons which are responsible for it. First is the political instability which has been there in the eastern part of India. Then there is this, I would say, Naxalism which has created this political instability, or Naxalism which has created, I would say, security issues, developmental issues in the eastern part of India, due to which development was not able to percolate in the eastern part. Then apart from it, a lot of migration also happened in eastern part of India, migration from Bangladesh. All these things are the reasons responsible why eastern part of India is comparatively less developed than the western part of India. And the paradox is that eastern part of India has huge resources, huge natural resources, like you see all the, I would say, minerals like coal, like iron ore, bauxite. You will see the reserves of these in the eastern part of India. But still, development of that scale did not happen over there as development happened in the western part of India. Okay. So this is basically there, and mission Purvodaya is basically a mission which was launched by the government in 2020 to address this issue of, I would say, imbalanced development. The eastern region of India is rich in resources like coal, bauxite, with locational advantage, with presence of major ports such as Paradip, Haldia, Vizag, Kolkata. There is no dearth of, I would say, infrastructure facilities or natural resources. Sab kuch hai in eastern part of India, but still it was underdeveloped or less developed due to the reasons which I told you. But it lags behind other states in terms of GSDP, per capita and human development index, majorly due to poor infrastructure, lack of governance and connectivity. Now mission Purvodaya, it was kick-started in 2020 to accelerate the development of eastern India with the establishment of an integrated steel center in Kolkata. It was focused on the eastern states. Now what are the states, or which states are being focused in mission Purvodaya? Odisha, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, West Bengal and northern Andhra Pradesh. Okay. So this can be a probable question in prelims, that which of the following states are part of Mission Purvodaya. So you can see that these states are part of Mission Purvodaya. All these are eastern states and all these are resource rich states if you see closely. Now focus area, basically Mission Purvodaya has now become the framework to transform logistics, infrastructure and multimodal connectivity. Basically Mission Purvodaya mein we are only focusing on infrastructure, logistics means connectivity, how we are going to connect, and multimodal, I would say, connectivity which we are going to establish. Multimodal means multiple modes of connectivity, waterways, roadways, railways, airways, all these. For example, projects like the freight corridor, Bharatmala for roadways. Freight corridors are basically dedicated freight corridors. Freight trains will only run on them. No passenger trains will be running. And there is presently the dedicated freight corridor being constructed in India with the help of Japan, and dedicated freight corridor has two legs. First is basically the western freight corridor which runs from Dadri in UP and ends up in Jawaharlal Nehru Port Terminal in Mumbai. That is the western dedicated freight corridor. Next is the eastern dedicated freight corridor which starts from Ludhiana in Punjab in western India and goes to Dankuni or I would say near Kolkata it is, that is the eastern dedicated freight corridor. So we are talking about building more dedicated freight corridors in eastern part of India so that logistics can be easy. Okay. Then Bharatmala for roadways and Sagarmala for waterways will further drive economic growth. The outlay for the projects, the state of West Bengal has received 10,262 crore and has been earmarked in 2022-23 and which is more than doubled as compared to 4380 crore on average between 2009-10 and 13-14. Means the budgetary allocation for this infrastructure development or for establishing logistics and all has been doubled in West Bengal, which the government has highlighted, and the government has said that this has been doubled under the aegis of Mission Purvodaya. Progress is evident as West Bengal, Bihar, Jharkhand and Odisha combined have more than 4700 kilometers of railway track commissioned and 7277 kilometers of railway lines electrified in the last 8 years. Also 37 world class stations being developed in the eastern region. Again, the last piece of news which we covered, that was the I would say Amrit station scheme, that is also being implemented here, and 37 stations which we will be turning into world class stations, and the highest number of terminals are planned in the Kolkata Haldia stretch of ports basically. Now way forward, we should be looking by creating a free competitive marketplace for business to thrive so that the GSDP, gross state domestic product of these states, it goes up, enabling local policies, good governance, rule of law, dynamic and resilient infrastructure can be created. In India's march towards a 5 trillion economy, the eastern states have to play a very important role. It cannot reach a 5 trillion economy by only its focus on the western states जैसे और western India जैसा हम करते आए हैं अब तक. We have to focus on the eastern part of India and we have to instill development over there. The platform is already there for us, the resource rich region it has I would say major ports already over there. We just need to capitalize on that. If we are able to do so, then we will be able to plug this mismatch of development or this development anomaly which has been created. And this imbalanced development, if it is tackled, definitely we are going on the right track and we will be reaching our goal of a 5 trillion economy, $5 trillion economy, and by 2047 the dream of being a developed nation, which the Prime Minister just saw in this year's Independence Day speech. So we will have to definitely focus on that. Now comes the next and very important, European Union. Now when I talk about European Union, you should first understand what a union is. Okay. Just imagine that these are various territories or various countries. Now these countries, they come together and they say that our economies should be together. Means, whatever economic, fiscal policy or monetary policy we will be making together for this entire region. We will be negotiating with the rest of the world as a unit, as a union. We will be allowing our people to go from one place to the other place freely without any travel restrictions. We will be allowing goods, services to go from one place to the other without any tariffs, without any export duty, without any import duty. So we will be doing this. Now, European Union was not the first union to be formed. Before European Union, USSR as a union was also formed. Now, when a union is formed, the sovereignty of these units which are forming, or the units which are becoming part of that union, gets compromised to a certain extent. They are not completely sovereign as they were before being part of that union. So this is basically a union. Do these units which are part of a union, do they have the power to secede? Yes, it depends upon the terms and conditions of that union. Like for example, in EU, countries do have the this power to come out. Like in 2020, 21, Great Britain, they exited from EU. They came out from EU, and this episode was known as Brexit. BR stands for Britain, exit of Britain from EU. So this is the basic concept of a union, where you become politically united, economically united, so that your people can go from one place to the other freely. Your goods, your services also can travel freely. And at the advanced stages, you have a common currency also which is there. Now, do all the units of a union have to adopt that currency? It is not compulsory, or I can say that it depends on the terms and conditions of that union. Largely it is not compulsory. Countries do become part of the union because they feel that individually they are not so strong as they will be strong by becoming part of a union. Their negotiating power will increase. Their visibility will increase in the entire world by becoming part of that union. Because, simply you can say that a finger is less strong as compared to the fist if it is part of a fist. Simply this principle is there in the union. Now, European Union, why was this in news? Croatia adopted European Union's common currency, the euro, and joined the Schengen area, Europe's visa-free travel area, on January 1 this year. With this, Croatia became the fully integrated member of EU. The country had joined EU in 2013 and it was basically the last country to join. Okay. Now, with this map, we can see the members of EU. Now, this is United Kingdom. We can see it is not part of EU. It is not part of EU. These blue ones which you see are the original members. 1993 EU was formed. We will see the story of formation of EU. So these were the original members. The green ones, Sweden, Finland, Austria, they joined in 1995. Then this, I would say, orangish ones, these countries which you see, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, Slovenia, they joined in 2004. Then this I would say reddish color or mauvish color, Romania, Bulgaria, North Macedonia, they joined in 2007. This so called I would say mehendi color or green color, that is Croatia, joined in 2013, and Croatia was the last country to join. And you see this grey color, the former member, and this color, the color which Turkey is, Albania, Serbia, Montenegro, all these are basically candidate countries. They want to join, but they are not part. Presently, how many countries are part? There are 27 countries which are part of this union. 27 countries in Europe, particularly Western Europe. Ukraine wanted to join EU, okay, but this is Ukraine here. This is Ukraine. Wanted to join EU, but Russia was very apprehensive about this fact, okay, and probably one of the reasons why this Russia-Ukraine conflict is happening. Okay. So this is there. Then evolution of EU. How did EU evolve? Now evolution of EU basically can be studied from 1951 onwards. Now when the Second World War happened, the maximum devastation happened in Europe. Infrastructure losses, I would say not only roads, ports, airfields, but buildings and all, they were destroyed. The maximum destruction of infrastructure, of property happened in Europe. And for its reconstruction and redevelopment, a plan named as Marshall Plan was rolled out. Now this Marshall Plan was basically a plan which was proposed by USA and with the help of World Bank. At that time, World Bank was known as International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. Obviously, it was under United Nations, a specialized agency under United Nations. IBRD it was known as. This plan had to be implemented. Chalo, Europeans were very welcoming that chalo, reconstruction and redevelopment will happen. But on the same time, they were very much, they became wary, or they became apprehensive that USA is doing it, but with what intentions, with what motives? It should not happen that USA brings us to our knees, or USA overpowers us, USA subjugates us. So they started forming, or they formed this grouping. They said that we will form this grouping with this objective to safeguard our economies from foreign domination. Obviously, the finger was towards USA, but they did not explicitly mention that against USA it is. So in 1951, they established European Coal and Steel Community ECSC, and 6 West European countries, that was France, West Germany, Italy, Belgium, the Netherlands and Luxembourg. These 6 countries established ECSC, European Coal and Steel Community, because coal and steel was or were, I would say, the main ingredients for reconstruction and redevelopment of Europe. Then 1957, 6 years down the line, these 6 countries only signed the Treaty of Rome and said that why only on coal and steel we will collaborate, or we will form this grouping. We will form this grouping for the entire economy of these 6 countries, and they thus formed European Economic Community EEC, which is also known as European Community EC, okay. And they also formed European Atomic Energy Community, Euratom they named it. 1973 January, Denmark Ireland and United Kingdom joined the European Community. These three countries. 1979, first direct elections to the European Parliament. They had formed a parliament also in 1970s and the first elections happened. And members of these 6 countries plus Denmark plus Ireland plus United Kingdom, these 9 countries were participating in those elections. 1981, Greece joins EC. Remember friends that European Union has not been formed yet, it forms in 1993, but I am telling you the genesis. 1985 June, Schengen Agreement abolishes border controls among the EC members. Now this Schengen Agreement was signed, and according to the Schengen Agreement, people of these countries, they are free to move around in these countries without any visa or travel restrictions, just like we move in different states of India, from UP to Uttarakhand, from UP to Delhi, from UP to Madhya Pradesh, like this. 1986 January, Spain and Portugal joined EC. 1990 October, unification of Germany happens, and earlier, which was West Germany, which was part of, I would say, this ECSC, then which became part of, this is West Germany, which became part of EC also. Now entire Germany was part of EC. 1992 February 7, the Treaty of Maastricht was signed, and this Treaty of Maastricht basically established the European Union. 1993, a single market was created, and hence it came to be known as the European Union. 1995 January, Austria, Finland and Sweden joined the EU. 2002 January, Euro, the new currency, was introduced in the 12 Euro members. Now this Euro currency was introduced in the members, and it was not compulsory for all the members to adopt Euro. It was voluntary, that whoever wants to adopt can adopt, otherwise they can run on their own currencies. And there were certain conditions also, that for adopting Euro, your economy should be performing in this way. What are those conditions? We will see. अब देख लो ना कि 2013 Croatia joined, but now they are adopting Euro. 2004 May, 10 new members: Cyprus, Czech Republic, Estonia, Hungary, Latvia, Lithuania, Malta, Poland, Slovakia and Slovenia, they joined the EU. 2007 January, Bulgaria and Romania joined the EU. After this, if I have to continue this timeline, 2013 Croatia joins EU, 2020-21 Britain exits EU, that we call it Brexit. Now this particular image has been taken from NCERT class 12th Political Science book 1. Now Eurozone, basically Eurozone, what is a Eurozone? Those countries of EU which have adopted Euro as their currency is called as Eurozone, as simple as that. Okay. All European Union member states are part of Economic and Monetary Union. जितने भी हैं, they are part of Economic and Monetary Union and coordinate their economic policy making to support the economic aims of the EU. However, a number of these countries only have taken a step further by replacing their national currencies with a single currency, that is the Euro. These member states, they form the Euro area known as Eurozone. In other words, it is a geographic and economic region which has fully incorporated the Euro as their national currency, and their currency has been replaced by Euro. There are many countries in the world in which double currencies or multiple currencies are the norm, like for example Turkey, if I talk about, which is an aspiring member. There Euro is also accepted, Lira is also accepted. In Switzerland, which is not part of EU, Euro is accepted and Swiss franc is also accepted. Okay. But the Eurozone member countries which are part of Eurozone, only Euro will be there, no other currency. Okay. Now as of January 2023, Eurozone consists of 20 countries in European Union. These 20 countries, the list has been given: Austria, Belgium, Croatia, Cyprus, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Iceland, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg. Then after Luxembourg, we have Malta, Netherlands, Portugal, Slovakia, Slovenia, and Spain. Now, a trick to memorize these is that you have to first know the countries of EU, all the 27 countries. Then you have to know the Eurozone. So, you just memorize those 7 countries which are not part of Eurozone. Okay. So, you will automatically remember those countries which are part of Eurozone. Okay. This is a trick to memorize, but for that you need to memorize the member nations of Eurozone or European Union, sorry. Okay. That is necessary, that is required from UPSC also, because UPSC in prelims generally it has been a trend that it asks questions based on membership of those organizations or grouping, largely where there are less than 30 members, and here there are 27 members. Okay. So, this is important. Then requirements for joining Eurozone. There are some requirements, like Croatia has just joined Eurozone because it has accepted Euro. In order to join Eurozone and use Euro as their currency, EU nations must meet certain criteria consisting of 4 macroeconomic indicators that focus upon. First is price stability, means inflation should not be there. Price stability means the price of products, goods and services in your country, they should not be volatile, they should not be fluctuating too much. There should be price stability, and inflation not more than 1.5% should be there. Then sound and sustainable public finances. Public finances means budget deficit no greater than 3% of the GDP, basically fiscal deficit they are talking about, and public debt no greater than 60% of GDP. Durability of convergence, it is assessed through its long term interest rates, like we have the repo rate here in India. So, that is basically the long term interest rate. It cannot be more than 2% above the rate in 3 member states with the most stable prices. 3 member states who are already part of Eurozone, which are having the most stable prices, your interest rate should not be more than 2% of their interest rates. Then exchange rate stability. The nation must demonstrate exchange rate stability by participating in the exchange rate mechanism ERM for at least 2 years without severe tensions and without devaluing against the euro. It is basically the exchange rate between their currency, their respective currency, and EU, that should be stable enough. Now, we have come to know about Eurozone. Eurozone is basically those countries of EU which have adopted euro as their sole currency. Now, it is voluntary, it is up to the countries also that whether you want to adopt or not, and if you want to adopt, there are certain criteria which you have to fulfill, and the 4 points we saw that what criteria you have to fulfill for being a member of Eurozone. Okay. Currently, there are 20 countries which are Eurozone members, and 7 European Union members are not, I would say, part of Eurozone. Only European Union countries can become part of Eurozone. Okay. Now, next is about Schengen area. Schengen area signifies a zone where 27 European countries, I would cut this 27, where European Union countries abolish their internal borders for free and unrestricted movement of people. Croatia became the 27th nation in the passport free Schengen zone. Member of this area include 23 of the 27 EU member states, means all the 27 member states of EU are not under this Schengen visa agreement. Only 23 out of 27 European Union states are part of this Schengen agreement. That is why I cut this 27 European countries, or let us suppose I not cut this 27 European countries, because Out of 27, 23 are part of EU and the remaining 4 are part of European Free Trade Agreement. तो ये जो यूरोपियन फ्री ट्रेड अग्रीमेंट वाली कंट्रीज है तो वो भी यूरोपियन कंट्रीज है, बट दे आर नॉट पार्ट ऑफ यूरोपियन यूनियन. सो द मेंबर्स ऑफ शेंजन 23 EU countries and 4 European Free Trade Agreement countries. The members of these, I would say, European Free Trade Agreement countries, the 4 countries are written here: Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway and Switzerland. These are not part of EU, but they are part of Schengen area. Schengen area where free movement of people is allowed. There is this Euro rail which runs in the entire Europe and takes you from one country to the other country, and with majestic views, beautiful views, and in this Schengen area the Euro rail runs. So you can go from Switzerland to Austria in that Euro rail, from Austria to other countries in that Euro rail. These things can happen easily because they are all part of Schengen area. ठीक है. नॉन शेंजन EU कंट्रीज, अभी यहाँ पे 4 कंट्रीज बची है विच आर पार्ट ऑफ EU बट नॉट पार्ट ऑफ शेंजन. दीज आर बुल्गारिया, रोमानिया, साइप्रस एंड आयरलैंड. ठीक है. बीइंग पार्ट ऑफ दिस एरिया मीन्स दैट कंट्रीज do not carry out checks at their internal borders except in cases of specific threats, carry out harmonized controls at their external borders based on clearly defined criteria. ठीक है. So when you go from Switzerland to, let's suppose, Austria in Eurorail, so you will not know when the borders of Switzerland is finished and when you have entered this Austria, and there are no such checkings and all which happen. You don't need a visa also, because for the entire Schengen area you get one visa that is called as Schengen visa, and if you get that visa, if you get access to Schengen visa, you can go to any 27 countries in the Schengen area, means 23 EU countries and 4 European Free Trade Agreement countries which are not part of EU. Okay. So these were the details about EU, European Union, how it got formed. Presently 27 member states are there, Croatia being the latest joinee in 2013. Why was it in news? Because Croatia now has adopted Euro as their currency and has now become part of the Schengen area as well. And what is Schengen area, what is Eurozone? We studied about it. Eurozone will comprise of those countries only which are part of European Union and have adopted Euro as their currency. Then 20 of 27 countries are part of Eurozone. Apart from it, when we talked about Schengen area is having 27 member countries, but all of these 27 are not part of EU. 23 are part of EU and 4 are part of EFTA. ठीक है. EFTA member countries are not part of EU. ठीक है. Schengen area is basically a visa free region where people can travel from one country to the other without visa or without any passport. You need only one visa, that is the Schengen visa, if someone is going from outside, like we from India are going. If you are staying in the Schengen region, you don't need to take any visa or passport like something like this. You can travel freely from one country to the other country. Next piece of news is Bhima Koregaon. Okay. Now this Bhima Koregaon, the 205th anniversary of the Battle of Koregaon Bhima was celebrated at the Jayastambh in Pune's Perne village amidst heavy police deployment. This Pune's Perne village basically witnessed, I would say, communal tensions or communal violence 5 years ago when the 200th anniversary was being celebrated in 2018. Every year since then, the district administration and police machinery has been taking stringent steps to prevent any law and order situation in the area. Now, historical background of this Bhima Koregaon. It is basically a small village in Pune district of Maharashtra. Bhima Koregaon is associated with an important phase of the Maratha history. Now why? The people of Dalit communities gather in Bhima Koregaon on 1st of January every year to pay tribute to the Dalit heroes who died in the war between British and the Peshwas on 1st January 1818. 2018 200 years we were celebrating, so 200 years आप minus करोगे तो you will get 1818. The Peshwa were defeated in this battle of Bhima Koregaon. The Peshwas, Indians, were defeated and the Dalits also Indians. Why they celebrate their glory? The catch here is that the Dalits were not on the side of Peshwas. They were in the British army and they were dominating in terms of number of men in the British army, and that is why they celebrate and they commemorate the Dalits who lost their lives in that Bhima Koregaon battle of 1818 against the Peshwas, means Indians fighting against Indians. And this battle by some sociologists has been described as the first instance of liberation of caste tyranny, or the caste, I would say, discrimination. These Dalits are basically labeled as one of the lowest castes in India. They are obviously part of the Shudra category. In India, the caste system goes like Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras. So Dalits are here in this category and the Peshwas were upper caste comparatively. So before this battle, the Peshwas basically discriminated a lot against the Dalits and they made a mockery of them. They refused to take their services. So the Dalits basically joined the British army and they fought and won that particular war. And in all this, the Britishers took advantage of the already divided Indian society on the lines of caste. And they had their policy of divide and rule. It is said that divide and rule kabhi mat bhool. The Britishers had this policy. And here we see the already divided Indian society was basically further divided or further taken advantage by the Britishers. Now the battle of Bhima Koregaon was fought on 1st January between Peshwa Vajirao II and British army commanded by Captain F.F. Staunton. The battle was part of the Third Anglo-Maratha War. The British army was largely dominated by the Mahars, the most populous of Dalit subcastes in Maharashtra. The Dalit dominated British army had defeated the Peshwa army. It resulted in losses to the Maratha Empire, then under the Peshwa rule, and control over the most of western, central and southern India by British East India Company. Significance: Mahar relates this battle to their self-respect because they were insulted by the Peshwa Vajirao II on their identity and caste when they offered their services to the Peshwa. Many historians have termed this incident as the first historic step towards making India free of caste. After Dr. Ambedkar visited the site on January 1st, 1927, this Bhima Koregaon site, it became a place of pilgrimage for the Dalits and assertion of pride. In recent years, attendance has been in the lakhs, with Dalits coming from all over India, and the maximum attendance was witnessed in 2018 when the 200th year celebrations were there. Next piece of news is polar vortex. Polar vortex basically is a geographical phenomena. A deadly blizzard, that is a snowstorm, has been witnessed in United States and Canada, and many people have lost their lives. Scientists have once again stated or started to discuss that the rising temperatures of the Arctic have some or the other connections with this phenomenon of polar vortex. Now, is it a new phenomenon, polar vortex? No, it is not a new phenomenon. Polar vortexes are not something new. The term polar vortex has only recently been popularized, but these kind of phenomena, these kind of deadly blizzards or snowstorms were common in the past as well. But yes, they have intensified in the recent past. Their frequency also has increased in the recent past. That is why the scientists are saying that it might have some connection with the changing climate, particularly the Arctics and all, they are getting warmer. So, however, there is no established fact abhi tak that they have a short connection with climate change. We will see to it in detail. Okay. So, this is basically polar vortex. What is a polar vortex? Basically, we will see now, is a large area of low pressure and cold air surrounding both of the Earth's poles. It always exists near the poles but weakens in summer and strengthens in winter. Now, if we see the next slide, now in winter the strong jet stream is blowing in this direction, and the cold air is concentrated in the north only. However, during summer, March to June, this actually weakens, the I would say wind belt shifts downwards or southwards, and that is why this polar vortex is not so strong, but here it is concentrated in the northern region. That is why this region is being impacted by these, I would say, snowstorms which are coming. These are basically anti-clockwise rotations happening in the polar regions, and they intensify during winter. Prior to that, it was concentrated northwards. But why the scientists are saying, पहले क्या होता था कि it was concentrated northwards only above this, but now it has moved a bit southwards because temperatures are increasing and this low pressure zone is also shifting southwards. So, the colder winds from the high pressure zone, they come southwards a bit, they revolve and then they go back, they revolve and then they go back, and this forms this vortex, and which impacts the people staying in the northern part of USA, Canada and all. Okay. Now, this polar vortex belt has shifted down in the recent years. This can be attributed to climate change. The scientists are anticipating this. Okay. So, what is a polar vortex? Polar vortex is a geographical phenomena which happens in the poles, basically north pole, south pole, in which the winds they rotate in anti-clockwise direction. Yes, low pressures are there, large areas of low pressure and cold air surrounding both Earth's poles. So, this cold air is obviously coming from high pressure and it is gushing towards low pressure zones. Now, it forms a vortex by revolving, and due to climate change the belts have shifted southwards. This is anticipated by the scientists. Okay. So, many times during winter in the northern hemisphere, the polar vortex will expand, sending cold air southwards with the jet stream. The jet stream we saw is in the area of fast moving air high in the atmosphere that surrounds the polar vortex. This occurs fairly regularly in winter time and is often associated with large outbreaks of Arctic air in the United States and Canada. Now, the question is polar vortex and climate change, or climate change connection, is it there? Now, recently a study was published in science.org revealing that rapid warming of the Arctic might be allowing frigid air in the region to move southwards more frequently than ever before. However, scientists said that they need more data to arrive at a consensus about the claim. That is why they are still anticipating. The study largely focused on something called the polar vortex, which is a mass of cold, low pressure air that consistently hovers the Arctic region. With the help of observational analysis and numerical modeling, the study came to the following conclusion. The melting sea ice in the Barents and Kara seas north of Russia and Scandinavia and increasing Siberian snowfall create larger and more energetic atmospheric waves. These waves ultimately stretch the polar vortex, causing extreme winter weather in the US and other places. Next is the Prajwala challenge. Recently, the Ministry of Rural Development under Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana and National Rural Livelihood Mission has launched the Prajwala challenge. Aim is to invite ideas, solutions and actions that can transform the rural economy. The mission is looking for basically these ideas by the common men. These ideas can be categorized into, first is focus on women and marginalized sections of the community. Marginalized sections means poor, vulnerable, lower caste, those who are not able to feed themselves, those who are living in absolute poverty. Then localized models means problems, the local problems should be focused upon, and these solutions or these ideas should be resolving the local problems. That is why localized models will be accepted. Sustainability of these models should be there. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि presently it is applicable, 5 years down the line or 2-3 years down the line it becomes unsustainable. So solutions should be sustainable. Then cost effective solutions should be there. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि a lot of I would say economics is involved in that. Then multi-sectoral ideas and solutions should be there, because things are interconnected. So it should not be, I would say, increasingly focusing on that solution only, but yes, in that problem only, but yes, a solution which is being designed should be tackling that particular solution, that particular problem, and other problems, other fringe areas also it should have an impact upon. Okay. Shortlisted ideas will be acknowledged by the mission and will be provided mentorship support from an expert panel and incubation support to scale up. Incubation support means funding will be given. Top 5 ideas will be rewarded with rupees 2 lakh each. This reward is separate, this incubation support is separate, mentorship support is separate. Now about NRLM, Deen Dayal Upadhyaya Antyodaya Yojana or National Rural Livelihood Mission. It is one of the flagship poverty alleviation programs which aims at creating efficient and effective institutional platforms for the rural poor. Institutional platforms basically are self-help groups, NGOs, or I would say economic unions, or I would say associations. Okay. So cooperative societies, these are obviously these are all I would say institutions, and this National Rural Livelihood Mission basically aims at alleviating poverty, removing poverty by forming these kind of institutional platforms for the rural poor. Key features: universal social mobilization. At least one woman member from each identified rural poor household is to be brought under self-help groups. Network in a time-bound manner. Participatory identification of poor, PIP we call it. All households identified as poor through PIP process is the NRLM target group and is eligible for all benefits under the program. We are identifying poor and then we are bringing them into the net, the economic net. Community funds as resource in perpetuity means NRLM provides revolving fund and community investment fund as resources in perpetuity to the institutions of poor. Means people pool in their funds, and let us suppose everyone has pooled in I would say 1 lakh rupees per head. Just imagine 1 lakh rupees for the rural poor is a very big deal, but anyways 1 lakh rupees per person has been pooled and 10 people are there, so 10 lakh rupees are there. So from these 10 lakh rupees, if one person needs 2 lakh rupees for setting up his or her business venture, from that fund only that person can take, and it has to be returned back in a time bound manner with or without interest rate. It depends on the terms and conditions. So this is how community funding helps the members of the community. So, this is how they are going to usher in, I would say, economic activity in the rural areas, and this is how they are going to tackle poverty in the rural areas, the National Rural Livelihood Mission. And why was it in news? Because Prajwala challenge is being conducted by the government, and under this they are inviting ideas that suggest ideas in which the rural poor can be impacted, the rural poor can be uplifted. Next piece of news is the Nilgiri tar. You can see the Nilgiri tar. Okay. Recently, the Tamil Nadu government launched an initiative for conservation of Nilgiri tar at rupees 25 crore. Under this project, the Tamil Nadu government plans to develop a better understanding of Nilgiri tar population, reintroduce the tars to their historical habitat, because their population in the historical habitat, that was some parts of Western Ghats, has reduced. So, we will be reintroducing them, address proximate threats to them. What are the proximate threats? Like poaching, or any consumption by any I would say unsustainable consumption by their predators. We will see to it. Increase public awareness of the species, that we should not be poaching them, or we should be respecting them, or we should be conserving them. The project is to be implemented for 5 years period from 2022 to 2027. Now, when I talk about Nilgiri tar, is the only Caprinae species found in the tropical mountains of southern India. Find out what a Caprinae species is. We will be discussing it in the doubt session. Habitat: they are endemic to the Western Ghats and used to inhabit a large part of the Western Ghats between Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Its conservation status is endangered. Wildlife Protection Act India, Schedule 1 it is labelled in. So, this is basically all about Nilgiri tar. Next piece of news is basically Atomic Energy Regulatory Board. Now, Dinesh Kumar Shukla, former executive director of AERB and distinguished scientist, assumed charge as chairman AERB on 31st December 2022. I think this piece of news is not there in the index, you can add it separately. Okay. About AERB was constituted on November 15, 1983 by the President of India by exercising powers conferred by the Atomic Energy Act 1962. Okay. What is AERB? We are talking about that. The regulatory authority of AERB is derived from the rules and notifications promulgated under Atomic Energy Act and Environment Protection Act 1986. The mission of AERB is to ensure use of ionizing radiation, basically nuclear radiation. We are using nuclear fuel for multiple purposes like medicinal purposes, for generating electricity. So, AERB, what it does? It ensures the use of ionizing radiation and nuclear energy in India does not cause undue risk to health of people and the environment. The role of AERB is this. Okay. So, AERB will ensure that safety precautions are taken in any nuclear power plant which has been established in India, so that it does not turn out to be a health hazard to the people. AERB will also ensure the transportation, the safe transportation of nuclear fuel from one place to the other place, the safe mining of nuclear fuel where the mining is happening in India, that like there is this Jaduguda mine where uranium is mined, and we do not have any data. Actually, government does not publishes any data with respect to uranium mining in India. How much uranium is mined and all, it is not available in public domain. Okay. But yes, Jaduguda mines, we know that from there uranium is mined. So, it does not cause any health hazard to the people. This is the responsibility of AERB, and for this purpose AERB regulates various stakeholders which are related with nuclear fuels, okay, from where radiations can be leaked out. Now, members and powers: the total number of members including the chairman and member secretary shall not exceed 5 of AERB. The board shall be responsible to Atomic Energy Commission. Atomic Energy Commission basically is under the Department of Atomic Energy, which is directly under the PM. Okay. Now, the board shall consist of full-time and part-time members. The board shall have a full-time chairman and a full-time member secretary. Okay. AERB shall have authority to administer the provisions of Factories Act 1948, the industrial safety for units of departments of atomic energy. Then, as per section of 23 of Atomic Energy Act 1962. The executive functions of AERB shall be vested in the chairman of AERB. The DAE will provide the necessary administrative support to the AERB in this regard to get parliamentary work and establishment and account matters, all will be provided by DAE. And in DAE's actually executive wing is Atomic Energy Commission, and Atomic Energy Commission is basically overseeing the AERB. Okay. So, this is the structure. Now, next is Vibrant Village Program. Okay. Vibrant Village Program, Union Home Minister recently asked the Border Security Force BSF to strengthen the Vibrant Village Program and ensure welfare programs are implemented. Now, Vibrant Village Program has been announced by the Finance Minister's budget speech of 2022, means this year only it was announced, last year ho gaya, up to 2023 we are in. VVP is aiming at enhancing infrastructure in the villages along India's border with China, in states like Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand and Arunachal Pradesh. Because main problem is with China in border regions. Chinese have this tendency of making inroads into our country and then claiming on our territory, laying claims on our territory. That is the problem with China. Actually, we have studied about it in the past also, when Chinese their activities are in news. China has this 5-finger policy. Okay. This 5-finger policy of China, there are 5 fingers in which China lays claim. These 5 fingers are Arunachal Pradesh, Sikkim, Ladakh. These 3 fingers are in India. Apart from it, Bhutan, Nepal. China believes that these 5 fingers are part of China, mainland China, which is the palm. The palm is China today, the mainland China, and these 5 fingers are part of China. So, in pursuit of these 5 fingers, it keeps on making inroads into the region. Like last month we saw problems happening in the, I would say, Arunachal Pradesh region, Tawang region. Okay. That was, I would say, problematic. Now, we have devised this program, the Vibrant Village Program, to build infrastructure in the villages in the border areas, particularly border areas with respect to China, so that the villagers in this region, they have this confidence that they are part of India, because India will be building that infrastructure, connectivity, roads and all, we will be doing it, healthcare institutions, schools and all, we will be doing it. So, by doing it, we will be taking them into confidence, and if we are taking them into confidence, they will be our eyes and ears, because the knowledge which those people have of that area, the geographical knowledge, the topographical knowledge, the forces might not have, or because the forces, the transfers and all keep on happening, so some people come, some people go, but those villagers, they will stay there forever. And the voice of the people is very strong, the voice of the people is heard worldwide. These people, if they will voice their concern at the global level that we want to be part of India, we are part of India, China cannot lay claims on that area, at least they'll be having some moral pressure at the international level. So, this Vibrant Village Program is basically designed to meet that objective. Okay. So, let us see to it, what is this? Activities under the VVP include building infrastructure such as housing, tourist centers, road connectivity, providing decentralized renewable energy, direct to home access for Doordarshan, educational channels and support for livelihood generation. All these things will be undertaken in the Vibrant Village program. The program envisages coverage of border villages on northern border having sparse population, limited connectivity and infrastructure, which often get left out from the developmental gains, and convergence of existing schemes is proposed under VVP. The villages on the northern border of the are to be covered under VVP are being finalized. Now, what are the existing schemes already for the border villages? We will see to that as well. One scheme is Border Area Development Program, BADP. This Border Area Development Program implemented through the state governments, UT administrations in habitations located between 0 to 10 kilometers from the borders, and it is implemented in 16 states and 2 UTs. Under BADP, the annual action plans of state UTs consisting of works related to village infrastructure like roads and bridges, health, education, etc. are considered and approved. It is implemented through the state governments or UT administration, means it is a centrally sponsored scheme, CSS. Now, Border Infrastructure and Management Scheme. BIM aims to strengthen the border infrastructure for improving border management, policing and guarding the borders. Enhanced budgetary allocation for BRO. BRO is Border Roads Organization, which is under the Indian Army. It is responsible for constructing roads in the border areas. Now, this Government of India in its union budget financial year 2022-23 has increased the capital outlay for BRO by a record 40% as compared to financial year 21-22, means 40% increased allocation to BRO for constructing roads. Now, Vibrant Villages program mein roads is a key component. Here also roads and all infrastructure is a key component. BRO is not just contributing to enhanced operational preparedness, but making a very significant contribution towards socio-economic integration and development of the regions. Which regions? Basically the border regions. Now, importance of community engagement. To ensure a secure and safe border, it would help enhancing security and development of other borders, besides providing a sense of belongingness to these people. They are the first in line when irregular events take place at the border. In addition, local communities can identify most vulnerable persons as well as the risk factor in terms of safety and health. Then improved situational awareness. These people hold vast amounts of intimate knowledge on the area, characteristics of the terrain, etc. Enhanced surveillance. It is in the difficult areas like coasts, fishermen watch groups can be formed to fill large gaps in the existing surveillance cover on regular basis. Basically, there are multiple gaps in the coastal areas, but these fishermen community, they have ample, I would say, experience of that area, so they can fill those gaps. So, it can lead to increased or enhanced surveillance. Utilization of community mechanisms, improved interaction with local population would lead to gradual development of a new community based policing approach to border management. Also, it will enhance utilization of community mechanisms for managing challenges and conflicts. Now, we will be taking a break, and after the break we will be starting with this merger of Pradhan Mantri, I would say Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana and National Food Security Act. It is going to take a bit of time, till that we can take a break.